I can still hear the sound of glass crunching under my heels. The house smells of vanilla frosting and smoke from the birthday candles that never got blown out. Balloons hang half deflated in the corner, and the soft hum of the police radio still echoes in my head. I'm standing in the middle of my living room, silk blouse stained with cake frosting, trying to process the fact that my own sister just called the cops on my 17-year-old daughter. Ava's upstairs now, crying into her pillow, her mascara staining the white duvet I bought her for her birthday. The iPhone she'd saved for, begged for, dreamed of, lies shattered across the floor like glittering confetti from a nightmare. And the woman who did it, my sister, Rachel, is somewhere out there, probably telling anyone who'll listen that she was provoked. The officer's words still ring in my ears. "Ma'am, we just need a statement." A statement. As if I could explain 15 years of family tension in one paragraph. I look out the window. The fairy lights still twinkle around the backyard fence, the same place where laughter had filled the air just an hour ago. Everything looked perfect. Until Rachel arrived uninvited, wearing her red lipstick and bitterness like armor. I smooth the wrinkles from my blouse, trying to calm the tremor in my hands. It's strange, after all these years, she still knows exactly how to ruin my happiest moments. And tonight, she didn't just break my daughter's phone. She broke something far deeper. Rachel and I were never the kind of sisters who shared clothes or whispered secrets under the covers. We were born barely 2 years apart, yet it always felt like decades stood between us. She was the wild one, the girl with the smoky eyeliner and the laugh that filled every room. I was the quiet one, the planner, the one who did everything right, and somehow, that only made her hate me more. I still remember the last real fight we had before I cut her off. It was 12 years ago, after our mother's funeral. The house smelled of lilies and old furniture polish, and I was trying to divide Mom's things fairly. Rachel wanted the car, the one Mom left specifically to me. "She always loved you more," she hissed, tears streaking through her mascara. "You get the house, the car, the picture-perfect life. I get the leftovers." Her words burned deeper than she knew, because what she didn't see was that my picture-perfect life was already crumbling. My husband had just left, and I was raising Ava alone with nothing but the house Mom left behind. That day, I tried to reach her. I told her we could start over, that grief didn't have to divide us. But Rachel wasn't interested in healing. She wanted someone to blame. And that someone was always me. Before I left, I remember Grandma pulling me aside. She pressed her cool, wrinkled hand into mine and slipped me a tiny silver locket. Inside, a quote etched so small I had to squint to read it. "Some storms come to clear your path." I didn't understand it then. It just sounded like another one of Grandma's poetic sayings. But later, when Rachel showed up drunk at my doorstep at midnight, demanding money, screaming that I thought I was better than her, I finally got it. That night, with Ava barely 5 years old, clutching her teddy bear and crying in my arms, I made the hardest choice of my life. I locked the door. I let her bang on it. And I didn't open it again. As I stood there, the silver locket pressed against my chest, I realized something painful and liberating all at once. Sometimes, love means walking away. After that night, the silence in the house felt heavier than any argument ever could. But in that silence, I found something I didn't expect: peace. It wasn't immediate. It came slowly, like sunlight creeping through blinds after a long storm. I started small. I sold the old furniture in the garage, turned the guest room into a tiny office, and began freelancing as a virtual assistant for real estate agents. I didn't have a college degree or a savings account worth bragging about, but I had discipline and desperation. Those two things will take you farther than luck ever could. For months, I worked while Ava slept. I'd brew cheap coffee, wrap myself in one of Mom's old sweaters, and type until the sky turned pink. I learned new skills: graphic design, client management, social media strategy, anything that could pay the bills. There were nights I cried quietly into my keyboard, wondering if I'd made a mistake leaving my marriage, wondering if Ava would grow up resenting me for it. Then one day, opportunity knocked, literally. A woman named Karen Blake, a real estate broker from downtown Chicago, had been impressed with my online portfolio. She asked if I could manage her listings full-time. That job changed everything. Karen became more than a boss. She was a mentor. The kind of woman who looked you straight in the eye and said, "Don't you dare settle for surviving when you're meant to thrive." Under her guidance, I launched my own agency 2 years later, Blue Sky Virtual Solutions. By the time Ava turned 10, I had 6 employees, a small downtown office, and my first six-figure year. But I didn't tell Rachel. I didn't tell anyone in my family. I kept my wins quiet. Partly because I didn't want to gloat, but mostly because I didn't want to invite that chaos back into my life. Whenever relatives asked how things were going, I'd smile and say, "We're doing fine." No one knew that fine meant I was paying off my mortgage, funding Ava's college account, and donating to the same women's shelter that once helped me when I was broke and terrified. Ava grew up watching me build, watching what resilience really looked like. She'd sit next to me at my desk, doodling houses while I designed marketing brochures. Sometimes she'd ask, "Mom, do you ever miss Aunt Rachel?" And I'd always pause before answering. "Some people," I'd say softly, "love you the only way they know how, even if it hurts." But deep down, I knew Rachel's version of love was still poison. And no matter how far I'd come, some part of me always feared she'd find her way back, dragging her storm behind her. I just didn't expect it to be on my daughter's 17th birthday. The night started like every mother's quiet victory: music, laughter, and the kind of joy that makes you forget how hard the road has been. Ava's 17th birthday was supposed to be perfect. I'd rented a tent for the backyard, strung fairy lights across the fence, and ordered her favorite red velvet cake. Her friends danced barefoot on the patio, giggling, taking selfies, the kind of carefree moments I used to dream she'd have. Then Rachel showed up. I saw her through the kitchen window first, red heels clicking up the driveway, wine bottle in hand, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. For a moment, I couldn't move. It had been nearly 6 years since we'd spoken. My chest tightened as I wiped frosting from my hands and stepped outside. "Rachel," I asked, trying to keep my voice even, "what are you doing here?" "Relax, sis," she said, brushing past me like she owned the place. "I just came to wish my niece a happy birthday." Ava's smile faltered when she saw her. She looked at me for reassurance, but I just nodded. I didn't want a scene. I thought maybe, just maybe, Rachel had changed. But old habits die hard. Within minutes, she was in the middle of the crowd, talking loudly, laughing too hard, asking inappropriate questions about my fancy job and new life. When I tried to pull her aside, she snapped. "Oh, don't act like you're better than me, Lila," she shouted. The music stopped. The girls froze. "You think you can erase family just because you got a nice car and a clean conscience?" Before I could respond, Ava stepped forward. "Aunt Rachel, please, just go home." Rachel turned, eyes glassy. "Don't tell me what to do, princess." Then, without warning, she snatched the phone out of Ava's hand, the brand new iPhone she'd unboxed an hour ago, and hurled it against the wall. The sound shattered the silence. Ava gasped, trembling, eyes filling with tears. Rachel laughed. "There. Now, she's not so perfect either." That's when I lost it. "Get out," I screamed, my voice cracking. "You don't get to hurt her, because you're miserable." Rachel staggered back, her face twisting into something cruel. And then she did the unthinkable. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911, and said, "My sister just assaulted me in front of minors." The flashing lights arrived minutes later. Parents ushered their kids out. Neighbors peeked over fences. The officer's expression was calm, but firm as he asked what happened. Luckily, I didn't have to say much. One of the girls showed him a video. Every second of it. Rachel's story crumbled instantly. Her smirk vanished when the officer turned to her and said, "Ma'am, maybe it's best you leave before we file a report." For the first time, I saw something I'd never seen in her eyes before: shame. As the police car drove away, I stood at the gate, arms wrapped around myself. My employees had been there too. They'd helped clean up after the chaos, their faces reflecting quiet awe. One of them whispered, "Lila, I didn't know you had a sister." I just smiled faintly. Neither did I. Later that night, as I tucked Ava into bed, she looked up and asked, "Mom, why does she hate us so much?" I brushed her hair gently, kissed her forehead, and said, "Because sometimes, sweetheart, broken people only know how to break things." Downstairs, I poured a glass of wine and stared at the photos on the wall. Ava's graduation, my company's ribbon cutting, the life I'd built brick by brick. For years, Rachel thought I was struggling. She had no idea that every paycheck, every sleepless night, every tear had led here, to a life of quiet strength. And that night, as I turned off the lights, I realized something else. She hadn't crashed my daughter's birthday to hurt me. She'd come because she finally saw how much I'd outgrown her. The next morning, the house smelled of burnt coffee and exhaustion. I sat at the kitchen island, scrolling through texts from parents who'd witnessed the chaos, words like "so sorry" and "we're here if you need anything." Ava was still asleep upstairs, emotionally drained. I stared at her shattered phone on the counter, its spiderweb screen catching the morning light. Then a knock. 3 soft taps on the front door. It was Rachel. Her makeup was smudged, her hair pulled back carelessly. She looked smaller somehow, like all the venom had finally drained from her. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. Every instinct screamed no. But I opened the door anyway, not out of weakness, but because I needed this closure. She sat across from me, hands trembling as she wrapped them around the coffee cup I'd slid toward her. "I messed up," she said, voice cracking. "I don't even know why I came last night. I felt like you replaced me." I studied her face. The same sister who once held my hand on the first day of school, who taught me how to braid my hair. Beneath all the anger, there was something fragile there. Fear. "I didn't replace you, Rachel," I said softly. "You walked away every time I tried to reach out. But I can't keep letting you walk back in just to burn everything down." She wiped her eyes. "I want to make it right." I nodded slowly. "Then here's what that looks like." My tone shifted, calm but unwavering. "You get therapy. Real therapy, not excuses. You get sober. You stay sober. You don't show up uninvited, and if you ever want to see Ava again, it happens on my terms. You rebuild trust one step at a time. No drama, no lies, no manipulation." She looked stunned. "You're giving me conditions?" "I'm giving you a chance," I replied. "But I'm not risking my peace again. Not mine and not my daughter's." She let out a shaky laugh, half disbelief, half heartbreak. "You sound just like Mom." I smiled faintly. "That's the nicest thing you've said to me in years." Rachel sat there for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll try." When she stood to leave, I reached for the silver locket around my neck, Grandma's words still etched inside. "Some storms come to clear your path." As I watched her walk down the driveway, shoulders slumped but steps steady, I felt something shift. This wasn't revenge. This was release. For the first time, I realized I could love my sister from a distance that didn't destroy me. Weeks passed, and the house slowly found its rhythm again. The laughter returned, softer at first, like the tentative hum of a melody I thought we'd lost. Ava smiled more. She started volunteering at a local shelter, the same one I used to visit when I was rebuilding my life. She said it made her feel stronger, and I understood exactly what she meant. Rachel kept her distance, just like I'd asked. But then, one afternoon, a small envelope arrived in the mail. No return address, just my name written in her messy handwriting. Inside was a photo of the two of us as kids, sitting on the front porch eating popsicles, our faces sticky with sugar and sunlight. Behind it a note. "I'm starting therapy. One storm at a time." I didn't cry, not this time. Instead, I smiled. Because for the first time, her words didn't feel like manipulation. They felt like a beginning. That weekend, Ava and I went shopping for a new phone. She picked a blue case, her favorite color, and as we left the store, she slipped her arm through mine. "Mom," she said softly, "you handled that better than anyone else ever could." I squeezed her hand. I just did what I had to. For us. Later that night, when the house was quiet, I found myself standing by the window, the silver locket warm against my skin. I opened it and traced the tiny engraving with my thumb. Some storms come to clear your path. I finally understood what Grandma meant. Because Rachel's chaos, the screaming, the shattered glass, the flashing lights, hadn't destroyed us. It had revealed how far we'd come, how strong we'd become. The storm had cleared the path, not just for peace, but for freedom. I looked upstairs toward Ava's room, where soft music played, and whispered to myself, "We're okay now." Then I turned off the lights, letting the moonlight spill across the living room floor, the same floor that had been covered in broken glass just weeks before. Somewhere out there, my sister was learning to rebuild. And here, in this quiet home I'd built with love and scars and stubborn grace, I finally felt something I hadn't in years. Not anger, not grief, but peace. And as I closed my eyes, one final thought echoed in my mind, the perfect ending to a story that had taken a lifetime to write. That night, my sister shattered more than a phone. She broke the last chain holding me back,